Alright, I believe we are live. Give me one moment. Test, test. All right, sounds like we are rolling. Welcome everyone to, I believe this is round 9 of season 12 of PRL Performance Racing League. I'm Hoop BK, and we are back from a little holiday break, if you will. A couple of weeks off, everyone recharging, spending some time with their families away from the rig, hopefully. But we are finally back, and we are at Las Vegas for a special edition. I believe we have a sprint and full race, so it'll be a sprint qualifying, then the sprint, then regular qualifying, and the full race. I think this is the first time we've done the format with a sprint quali. Should be interesting to see how it all plays out. A lot of points on the line. And we'll get right into it as people are heading out onto the track. Let me get a link in our Discord real quick. Let everyone know we are rolling. There we go. Now we are rolling. Nice field today. Everyone back from their Christmas holiday. Let's get all of our necessities. So sprint qualifying, I believe it's a 12-minute period. That would seem right. We are at 10 minutes to go already. For a 6-lap sprint around the streets of Las Vegas. Let's see if we can find who... Mr. Bean is actually our first driver to start a flying lap. He is second in the championship standings and actually has a lot to gain just from being here today. Our championship leader, Gordsas, is still on holiday, out of town, unable to race this week. So Mr. Bean, 78 points behind him in the standings, looking to make a big dent in that gap. I think the most he could possibly get today is 72 points between the sprint, the feature, pole lap, all that stuff. So opportunity to really cut into that deficit. Mr. Bean, along with some others, choosing to go on to the mediums. Looks like we have a car off just ahead of him, probably just getting out of the way. So some drivers taking the mediums for the sprint qualifying. Heading down the very, very long back straight at Las Vegas. Plenty of overtaking opportunities here. Sure, we'll see a lot of really good battles through that section throughout both of the races. So Mr. Bean will be the first to throw down a lap time, which will be a 1:31.6. Let's see. Looks like perhaps... Okay, free guy, both of the Mercedes. So Mr. Seedy is in for Gord. He's in Gord's car today. He throws down a 1:33.0. Martin, or Viking side, throws down a 1:32.4 on the mediums. And the laps will start to come in rather quickly now. Joe Bidom, a strong lap, 1:31.8. Ooh, had some trouble getting out of the way, it appears. Very tough turn 1 here. It's hard to feel out when you're trying to get out of the way of cars coming in behind you on flying laps. And a very short run down from the grid into turn 1, so should be interesting That's 2 times they will have to make that turn from the grid. And Oscar Piastri Goat, who is a newcomer to the league, his first race with us, 131.2 on the mediums. That is a ton of pace coming out with a bang. So certainly someone to keep an eye on now, showing off a ton of pace in their first flying laps. Let's see, we have a car around. See, we do said we do have some newcomers. So Oscar Piastri Goat, his first race. We're on board with another newcomer, Monte Storm. I believe this is his first race as well. Other than that, a lot of familiar names. Let's see if I can find that yellow. So I'm flipping around. I think it was Piastri Goat going off. It says he is invalidated. Joe Biden goes in the pits. Let's see. I'm not sure anyone's really on a flyer now. Tar Heels? Tar Heels just started a flyer. He's on the mediums. So it looks like we're getting into that lull of everyone going in to switch out their tires. Though it does appear possibly some of the medium runners may just stay on the mediums the entire time. I'm not sure what the strategy is there, but we will find out. Let's see, Butler, he's down. Villanova's up. Says he's a half second up through 2 sectors. So he's looking to break into the 132s and into the top 8 if he stays on it here. Doesn't really cut the corner, but still gets 7/10 and moves up to P7. You can really get up on the curb through that final little dog leg right before the start-finish line. Craig Dunn on a better lap this time around by only a 10th, but if he finds another one, could be looking at P4. He's had a pretty good run recently. Got a podium a couple of weeks ago, I believe. Remember, this is just sprint qualifying. We'll set the grid for the 6-lap sprint race. He improves, but does not improve his position. Misses out by only about 0.02 of a second. What's going on, Gord? Hope you're enjoying your vacation. I'm pretty sure Mr. Bean is really enjoying your vacation. Saw that you're in one of my favorite American cities that I've never been to, Chicago. Had a couple of friends move to Chicago. Would love to explore there someday. See, Free Guy on an out lap, the other Mercedes driver, Gord's teammate. I believe they are once again fighting for the top of the constructors. I have to check the standings real quick. Yes, Mercedes out in front in the constructors. Still pretty tight, just a 63-point gap to Williams. That's Mr. Bean and Mr. Butler down there. Behind them, not too far, 79 points back from the leaders is Alpine, Tar Heels, and Ray. Let's see, is there another Alpine? It's Monte Storm today. So Free Guy starting his only push lap, it appears. Free Guy, a ton of pace. He's been showing it off in midweek as well. Tar Heels throws down a time on the mediums. Let's see, we're hopping around a little bit, seeing for looking to find some other improvements around. Free Guy 26.2 in the first sector. Not sure where that is compared to others. Mr. Seedy starting a push. No one else really pushing. What about Rusty? Rusty, it says he's gone purple. That may be a personal purple. He's at 56 flat through Sector 2. We'll stay on board with him and move back to Free Guy once Rusty gets across the line. Just throwing that black and green Sauber all the way down the back straight. Heavy braking zone here. A little chicane. Ooh, you can get pretty close to the wall there. I got a little too close to the wall here in midweek earlier this season. Rusty took that a lot better than I did. Through the dog leg, and Rusty P5 throws down a strong time. Let's see if I can get the Free Guy in time. Free Guy through the dog leg. 131.6. He pits Mr. Bean to P2. But Mr. Bean will have a chance to respond. Free Guy showing off that pace once again. And every point does matter here in the Constructors. We're getting towards the later stages of this season. Villeneuve retires. That was in the pits. But yeah, 2 Williams and 2 Mercedes going at it this week. And 2 Alpines in the mix as well. And Mr. Bean still trying to get to Gord in the drivers' standings. And has a big opportunity to do so today. He was 2/10 up in Sector 1. There's a yellow in Sector 2. It looks like some cars getting out of the way on that back stretch. Let's see, I want to make sure I find. That's Oscar Piastri Goat starting his lap. He is nearly 6/10 up through Sector 2. That would be a pole time, but Oscar Piastri Goat does have a chance to respond. He's behind him on track. Free Guy getting out of the way, I believe, just in front. Into the heavy braking zone. Sliding the car through the tight chicane there. Rips down the final straight towards the dog leg. Let's see how close he takes it. Pretty close onto the curbs. 130.9, our first 130 of the day. Mr. Bean has provisional pole. But also Oscar Piastri Goat is improving. He is 5/10 up. As he rips down the Las Vegas Strip. Trying to see if there are any other moves through the field I may have missed, but we're focusing on the top here for sprint qualifying. 5/10 would certainly be enough. Has to just keep it clean through the final little chicane. Through the dogleg, and will the Aston Martin take pole? He will. 130.6. So 3/10 ahead of Mr. Bean. We're certainly seeing a new influx of talent here in PRL. Very exciting times. Had some very fast drivers step away, and looks like there's some just ready to step in and fill those shoes at the front of the field. Oscar Piastri Goat certainly showing off the pace. Looks like Joe Bidome gets P3. Gets past Martin and Free Guy. Noob entering the pits. Let's see, Monte Storm also entering the pits. I believe that is it for sprint qualifying. Wait as the cars trickle into the pit lane before I jump to any conclusions here. Yep, there we go. That's sprint qualifying then. So it'll be a 6-lap shootout around the streets of Las Vegas for sprint. And this will be our grid. Oscar Piastri Goat, in his first event in PRL, takes pole position for the sprint. Mr. Bean is second, Joe Bidome third, Martin fourth, Free Guy fifth, all within a second. Then Noob, Rusty, Craig, Marchena, Batts, Villeneuve, Mr. Seedy, and then the Alpines of Monte Storm and Tar Heels are 13th and 14th, and Butler is 15th. So a nice 15-car grid for Las Vegas. Points for the sprint were a little different. Let me see if I can find them really quickly. I believe the winner gets 16 points. Yeah, so top 10 get points. It's 16, 14, and 12 for the top 3, 10 for 4th, 8 for 5th, 6 gets 6 points, 7th 4, then 3, 2, 1. So only top 10 get points in the sprint race, as opposed to the full-length feature races where everyone will get points. Mr. Bean was looking for hopefully an easy sweep today, but he's not going to get it with the newcomer Oscar Piastri GOAT in the Aston Martin. I said earlier, I think the maximum is 72 points. I'm not sure how the fastest lap point goes with the sprint. The clean race, 3 points. It has to be both a clean sprint and feature race, which will be a little difficult. I don't know how the pole point works either for the sprint. It may just be the pole point for the feature. But regardless, Mr. Bean looking to make a very big dent in the lead in the driver's standings. See if I can find those driver standings real quick to give you the a little bit further down as we're waiting for the grid to get together here for the sprint. So it's Gord in first with 300 points. Mr. Bean is 78 points behind him. He's coming off back-to-back victories. Noob is in third in the Ferrari. Viking side, or Martin, is fourth. They are within 12 points of each other. Fifth is Joe Bidom, who is just 5 points behind Martin. Joe Bidom is in fifth. Rusty, 10 points behind him in sixth. Tar Heels 7th, 5 points behind him. A little bit more of a gap to Dr. J, who is not racing today, in 8th. Marchena 9th. Let's see, Finsick 10th. Will Butler is 11th. He has 98 points. Free Guy, 12th, just behind him. And going through the field, we have Craig 13th, Batts 14th. I don't think anyone else on the list currently is racing in just in time for 3, 4, 5 red lights. And the sprint is underway in Las Vegas. 6 laps around the streets. Pretty solid getaway. We're going to go pretty deep in the back. Some collisions in the back, it appears. Let's see, anyone running out of room? Perhaps the driver's going wide. I'm not sure I saw any debris. As we head down towards, I believe this is turn 3. A lot of curb on entry, and then actually slaps the wall on exit. Marchena gets swarmed behind. Actually looks like he may have lost out on a lot of spots. Mr. Bean, second. Joe Bidom, third. Craig getting by Rusty Oil Can. Let me get some of my quality of life stuff in here. Oh wow, a very good mix of tire choices between the soft and the medium. I feel there's going to be a lot of action in this 6-lap race. I will try to stay with it all. A pit stop will not be necessary this race. Martin gets by Joe Bidom on the back straight. He's on the softs. It's basically a gamble of, will the softs be decent enough at the end of 4 or 5 laps to make it worthwhile for that extra speed boost at the beginning to be worthwhile? Or the mediums be fast enough regardless? So you're going too wide here into turn 1. A lot of moves. They are side by side. Rusty, Oil Can, and Bats. A little bit of beat and banging through turn 2. It is tough to go side by side there on the medium into high-speed corner. Mr. Seedy and Marchena in the back. And Oscar Piastri Goat already pulling away. We've got trouble in the back. Villeneuve goes deep or goes around into turn 3. And a big gap forming. Kind of wish I had a different camera angle. We'll roll with it. It's the top 7 pulled away from Rusty, who was pulling away from Bats in 9th. We also at the front, Mr. Bean, already a second and a half behind. Martin a second and a half behind him. And Monte Storm, there's some debris on the track. He is dropping away quickly. Possibly some damage there. Overtakes all over the place near the front here. They're side by side into this corner. It's going to be tough to make it work, but it appears they do make it work. Very tight, but keeping it clean. Another fastest lap of the race. Mr. Bean actually going faster that time. Try to stick with the front here. A big battle for P3. Joe Biden currently leading the way. Everyone will tuck in behind. So they go into turn 3. I think that's turn 3. Noob very, very quick on this track. I think he's running some aggressive wings to take advantage of the long straights. Through some of these high-speed corners into a pretty heavy braking zone here. Pretty easy to screw that one up, but it's a very important corner to launch onto this huge back straight. The DRS doesn't open until much further down the straight than you would expect. But Noob tucking in behind Joe. I think he's going to try to make a move here. He goes to the inside. Pretty slam dunk move there. No changes behind them, though. Top Tar Heels gets by Butler. And Bats also poking his nose in. Bats will also get by Butler. Very close, and there's contact. And they ran out of room on exit. Butler with some damage. Bats with some damage there as well, it appears. And they will both suffer for that. Butler suffers more with the 10-second speeding into the pit lane. But over that last lap, Mr. Bean took out another half second or so on Oscar Piastri Goat. Very rare to see Oscar Piastri in an Aston Martin. And Mr. Bean looking to get into DRS now, and he is certainly within, as they're both sliding through that little corner by the sphere, both sideways. Noob now leading the train behind them. Rusty in his own little train. The Tar Heels, Marchena, and the back of the field now spreading out after that incident between Butler and Bats. Remember, top 10 are the ones that get points in the sprint. Winners looking at 16 points for this event. Mr. Bean already on the rear wing. Knows he will only have so many opportunities, and he pokes his nose out but does not make the move. Don't want to make the move too early, just a 6-lap race. But you may only have one shot. Noob tucked in behind Joe Biden as they headed to the dog leg. Noob also known to be very patient making his moves. I'm sure they'll wait until the last lap. Him and Mr. Bean. Rusty now has Tar Heels on his tail. Villeneuve gets by Bats, who I think is still nursing some damage. He's behind Mr. Seedy now, that trio. Yeah, I think a missing end plate for Bats. I miss Free Guy getting by Martin into turn 3. Just still a couple of battles throughout the field. And I completely missed Mr. Bean getting around Oscar Piastri Goat too. Very apologies for that. So much going on through the field. So he did not want to show patience. He wanted to get the move done and go defensive, which he will do here. Or, on the other hand, maybe he just lets him go. He knows he has one more shot. Joe Biden also reeling in the top 2. He's not quite within DRS. Piastri on the back of Mr. Bean, but does not make the move. I think we'll stick with this battle for the time being, but now the top 4 all right there. Tar Heels and Rusty going at it further back. To the final lap we go for the sprint race. We'll have another full or short qualifying after this, the 18-minute session. We'll just see Piastri trying to get himself situated for a move at the end of the big DRS straight, but now he has company. He may need to go defensive if he waits too long. This whole top 4 within a second of each other. Oh, it looks like Mr. Bean has some damage too. May have missed that early on. No end plate there. Looks like we have an issue further back. We've gone green again. As we go onto the back straight, is Piastri close enough, or will he have to be defensive instead, as Joe Biden is on his tail? Another yellow, and Rusty has DNF'd further back. Piastri may not be close enough. He will not be close enough to make a move into the heavy braking zone. No one really is. They will remain the top 4 as they head towards the dogleg, but this one is not over. Joe Biden gets by Piastri, and Mr. Bean very, very close. I thought Biden was going to get him there at the end within a tenth of a second, but Mr. Bean holds off Biden for the win. Piastri falls to 3rd. Noob, Free Guy, Martin, Craig, Marchena. Tar Heels is 9th, and Villeneuve will cruise to 10th for that final point. A lot of action there in 6 laps. I hope I was able to get most of it at least. It looks like Rusty had an incident in the snout of the pig, if that makes any sense. Las Vegas shaped like an upside down pig almost. So there we go, a lot of excitement for 6 laps. We still have 18 more to go after a short qualifying session. So getting points, Mr. Bean, Joe Biden, the newcomer Oscar Piastri Goat. Let's see, let me see if I can, here we go. Noob is 4th. They're all within a second, and Joe Biden very close. Free Guy 5th. Martin, Craig, and Marchena, the V-Carbs, Tar Heels, and Villeneuve all get points. Mr. Seedy, Bats, Monte Storm, then Butler, who had to make a pit stop, and Rusty, who was unable to finish. But still, we've got more racing to come. So it looks like we actually have a lobby reset. Basically, the group does not want to do 2 qualifyings, which is certainly, doing 2 qualifyings is kind of a lot. So we're deciding where you finish in the sprint will be the starting position in the race. So looks like we are going to back out. Just hold with us here as we'll reset the lobby. Basically, we don't want to do another 18-minute qualifying session for what is essentially a 35% race, 18 laps. So everyone just hang tight. Yes, I've also certainly missed this. Whoever else is logged in on the PRL account, this has been a fun one. A lot of great racing here in the league, and a couple weeks off to recharge, and we hop right back into it. The quality certainly doesn't go down after a couple of weeks. Yeah, there we go. I had a feeling it looked like I was going to be talking to myself. Yeah, Greg, definitely some good racing here. And you've been on quite a run recently. Hopefully you can keep this up. So for anyone just joining us, we just had our 6-lap sprint, which was preceded by a short qualifying session for the sprint. Instead of doing another qualifying for the feature race, we're just going to take the results of the sprint. And if you missed that, that was Mr. Bean taking a very close victory over Joe Biden in the sprint. I think it was 0.08 of a second was the difference there. And then newcomer Oscar Piastri Goat in third, and I believe Noob right there in fourth, all within a second of the leader. So very tight racing in the 6-lap sprint. And instead of doing another qualifying session, we'll hop right into the 18-lap feature race. We're waiting on 2 more. Hopefully should be starting up within the next couple minutes or so. I don't know if the stream sees this. For some reason in my lobby, it's decided that Marchena does not get a name. Have the nameless driver for VCarb there. That's a new glitch for me, at least. I think we're just waiting for Rusty to set the grid, and then we'll be on our way for the 18-lap feature race. But we just got everyone in the lobby. It could be another couple minutes to get the grid set. With the 35% instead of the 50% sprint or feature, sorry. Don't know what the strategy will be here. I imagine it'll be a combination of soft and medium. Didn't seem to go either way advantage-wise in the sprint. Don't know if the drivers would say differently, though. Let's see. I'd asked in the chat doing some investigative journalism. How did the softs feel versus the mediums? I had a softs for. Oh, maybe he's just saying the softs felt softer. But some mistakes were made when I chose softs. Martin says. So maybe the mediums, it could be a medium to hard instead. Who knows? Bat says horrible, though he did have underfloor damage. So jury might still be out on that. Should be another clear race, no threat of rain. We'll take a minute or two for the drivers to decide on their strategies, make any setup adjustments. Parc Ferme with the new lobby. I think we're about to go green any moment now. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights for the second time today. We are underway at Las Vegas. Already 5 wide in the back. Mr. Bean takes off side by side behind him. 3 wide into turn 1 and perhaps some issues further back. Rusty is ghosted, but Mr. Bean getting a good getaway. Oscar Piastri getting by Joe Bidome into turn 2 side by side. Craig and Noob down to turn 3. He will complete the move. Oh, a little deep behind. Very close. I guess that's between Martin and Free Guy. They're side by side. Marchena right behind them. We'll go on board with them. A little chicane by the sphere. Everyone feeling each other out, looking to make some moves early on. But Mr. Bean leads the field all the way down to the snout. Looks like Butler lost out. They're in the back of the field. They're side by side. That's going to be close. Glances off the wall. Just wanted to see some action in the back of the field. Very, very close. Oscar Piastri Goat gets by Mr. Bean on the back straight. Bidome and Craig side by side. Craig trying to make a move to get into the top 3. He does. Noob and Free Guy. What? Just a bundle of cars here. 3 wide almost into the heavy braking zone. Noob and Joe side by side. They come out no worse for wear. Martin right behind them. side by side once again through the dog leg, and Martin moves up into P5. Joe down to 7th. It's been a first lap to forget. Tar Heels must have picked up damage. He is caught speeding into the pit lane. Butler and Monte side by side. Rusty having some issues in the back. Yep, a wing change for Tar Heels. So yeah, Joe Biden going from 2nd to 7th in a matter of one lap. And it's once again Oscar Piastri and Mr. Bean in the front leading the field. Craig 2.5 seconds behind with an angry mob of cars behind him. Let me actually get some details here. There we go, a lot of movement on the field there. Craig already up 4, Joe down 4, Noob down 3. Let's check the tires. We have mediums and hards. Joe Biden and Noob on the hards. That would explain why they have fallen down the order so quickly. Usually a very cool racetrack. It's Craig defensive free guy going to the outside as DRS opens. A cool racetrack, difficult to bring the hards up to temp. Mr. Bean and Piastri still attached to each other. I believe Free Guy gets by Craig. That's the only move in that group. Bats and Mr. Seedy change spots as well. And for a second, they were within a 10th of each other at the front. Did not see what tire Tar Heels was on, but it looks like for the most part, everyone on the mediums, except for a couple of hard runners. So it should be medium hard or hard medium. Rusty, 10-second penalty, speeding in the pit lane. Pretty easy to pick up here, and that'll be it for him. So here we go, starting to fall into groups once again, lap 3 of 18. We have the 2 front runners still attached to each other. Maybe Mr. Bean's turn to get around the leader. And then about 3 seconds back, Free Guy leading a pack. That's Joe Biden getting by Martin. They are literally side by side. And Joe tucks in behind the Haas. Free Guy actually gained a lot of time there, up to 2.3, 2.4 behind, and breaks DRS to Craig, who is now falling into the clutches of Martin and Joe. It's Noob behind them, 2 seconds back. Marchena and Villeneuve all fighting for P7. That trio gets to the inside. Noob does, ushers him wide. Villeneuve looking on. As a little switcheroo, and there's contact. Around they go. Noob and Marchena. Doesn't appear to be too much damage, at least. Villeneuve takes the spot gladly. I think it's just a switcheroo gone awry. Mr. Seedy very deep, and the collision there. We got a front row seat to that. Mr. Seedy crashes into turn 3, and that does bring out a safety car. Wow. Just a ton of action already, lap 4 throughout the field. And unfortunately, we got a front row seat to Mr. Seedy's demise. And the demise of Noob and Marchena, an incident in turn 2. And this is where the medium runners win out. See, at this point, you can throw on the hards and finish the race, but now for Joe and Noob, you're on the hards already. Can the mediums get through probably 13 green flag laps? There we go, leaders into the pit lane. Most everyone will follow except for Joe, who is on the hard. I mean, at that point, you just gamble, right? It looks like, is that Villeneuve staying out? Yes, Villeneuve staying out on the mediums. Interesting call. Monte Storm does the same. They're going for track position. I imagine Noob... Oh, Noob has no front wing, so he will have to box anyway. Yeah, that'll do it for Noob. Tough situation there, and he had some rather severe damage. That will hurt in the standings. I believe he's currently P3. But that may drop him into the clutches of those behind him in the standings. Let's take a look at that real quick. I believe, yeah, he's just ahead of Martin and Joe. So tough day for Noob. After a pretty solid sprint, he will finish P13. Already 3 DNFs here on lap 5 of the feature. So once again, Joe, Villeneuve, Monte Storm all staying out. Joe on the hards, Villeneuve and Monte Storm on the mediums. Everyone else has swapped out their old rubbers for new hard Pirelli tires. Imagine we will go green after lap 6 as we wait for Tar Heels to join the field. So Monte and Villeneuve into the pit lane. One lap later than everyone else to swap out their mediums for hards. Who knows, maybe that one lap makes a difference at the end, but they lost out on a ton of track position as they slot in 10th and 11th. Let's see. I'll look at some of the changes here. So Butler actually up 7. He has snuck up into P7 from P14 on the grid. By far our biggest mover. Bats up 4. It's like one of those positions for both of them is due to Noob, but Butler on the move early. Mr. Bean down 2. One on track from the Aston Martin, and one on strategy from Joe. If you've just joined us here in the feature race, on lap 6 we are under safety car conditions to a Mr. Seedy crash. Noob and Marchena got tangled up. Noob has retired due to damage. Rusty retired early on due to damage. It's again a battle up front between Oscar Piastri Goat, our newcomer, and Mr. Bean, our pole sitter. Joe Biden is out front on hards, older hards than everyone else. Safety car officially in this lap, as Joe Biden will lead the field through this little chicane. He gets to set the pace as they head back towards the line, and the dogleg, he's holding back. He's waiting to go late. Piastri right next to him. And he goes very late as they go into the dogleg, and they finally get underway right at the line. So very, very late from Joe, holding everyone back. Mr. Bean takes a sniff to the inside of Oscar Piastri Goat. Does not make the move, though. So we kind of roll through the field. Tar Heels gets by Monte Storm. the Alpine teammates for the time being. But I'm holding the inside, but Aston Martin gets around into turn 3. Oh, someone deep in the background. I believe that was Bats. Bats way too deep. And, ooh, very close between Bidome and Bean. As they head through the sphere. Okay, once again, pretty much in a straight line. Trying to see if there's some damage here to Tar Heels. No. Monte Storm might look a little worse for wear. Mr. Bean gets by the McLaren of Bidome. He is... It's very close, though. Bidome on the back of him, and Piastri pulling away. Already a second and a half. So once again, something we saw in the sprint, too. Early on, Piastri able to use just straight pace to pull away, but let's see if they start to reel him in. So Villeneuve gets by Marchena. Martin and Free Guy side by side. And Martin comes away with the position. Marchena and Villeneuve once again making moves on each other, as we will get DRS this lap. Martin going on the attack as Bidome starting to fall away on those 7-lap-old hards. He still has to make a pit stop. And everyone else who pitted starting to swarm him, as everyone else also has DRS on this straight, so a double overtake as Free Guy also gets by him. We'll see if all these other hard runners will start to pull up to our leader. As Mr. Bean already started to reel in the Aston Martin. Free Guy makes the move on Martin. Not in the Aston Martin. Side by side. Wow, that was a big move from Craig there, but it seems like he couldn't quite get the position. He's side by side with Butler. They're on the tail of the McLaren. Free Guy once again leading this train here in the upper midfield. Martin gets by. Oh, wow, very close, and maybe a little bit of contact. Contact on at the apex, too, between Craig, Free Guy, and Bidome. Bidome really starting to get swallowed up now, as he falls all the way to 8th here. Not able to make any use of those hard tires, and he still has to make a pit stop. Sliding around is the, I think it was the Williams of Butler. Perhaps it was Marchena. Starting to settle down a little bit now. Martin is now leading this pack from P3. He's 2.7 behind Mr. Bean. And Free Guy, Craig, Marchena, Joe Bidome, Butler, and Villeneuve all in a pack here. That's 3rd through 9th. See, now with how it spread out it is, less likely to get a ton of moves here, but it looks like the McLaren, yes, gets to the inside. Nope, just sticks his nose out. Everyone's going to have DRS except for Martin. Free Guy gets to the inside. They are still side by side, but he completes the pass. Oscar Piastri Goat still pulling away. Lead almost 3 seconds now. Side by side here for P3. A couple different lines through this turn. Oh, but a big snap from Martin. He holds on to it, but he just ran out of traction, and Free Guy will maintain the position. We'll get to the inside. He'll have DRS here. So Haas completes the pass. A little bit of a switcheroo attempt here. Free Guy around the outside, out of room there. This is 3rd through 7th all together here, with 8th and 9th looking from not too far behind. Let's see. So Martin will once again... Oh, DRS is not opened yet. There we go. Now it will open. Looked like Free Guy was the one that lost out. So he immediately tumbles. Oh, very, very close, side by side. One of the V-carbs, I believe that's Marchena and Joe. Maybe a little bit of a tag there. Nothing too serious. Martin maintains P3. Craig now 4th. Marchena, Joe. And Free Guy really lost out there. I missed something. As now Free Guy all the way down to P9. When he was in the top 7, he does have some wing damage, it appears. End plate. So that'll cost him some time, especially around some of the windier bits, which is a lot of this track. I'm sure it happened right behind the action I was calling out, though, between I believe it was one of the V-carbs and the McLaren. They're side by side. So now that 5-car pack becomes just 4. Martin leading them onto this crucial back straight. Craig going to be very, very close as DRS opens. Should almost certainly get the move done. He does with ease. And once again, that Aston Martin out front setting faster and faster times. Free Guy losing a spot to Tar Heels there. And Martin getting back around Craig, I guess, as into the dog leg. Marchena right there as well. Fun little battle going on here. We'll really stick with this one. I'll try to go throughout the field a little bit. Oh, there's some contact there at the apex on turn in, and that's Marchena around. Very unfortunate there. I haven't even had a chance to jinx him yet. Saying Marchena looking at fighting for the podium, but he gets turned around into turn 3 and falls to P8. And now there were 3 fighting for the 3rd podium position. Actually, we'll go back to the front here. We're going to go 3 wide, nearly. And they do momentarily. As Joe, double overtake, gets by both Craig and Martin. That's Craig losing 2, Martin staying the same, essentially, and Joe getting around them. Martin gets to the inside of the McLaren and will pip him to the line to start lap 13 for them. It's a fun little group there, and they'll have another chance here onto this DRS straight. Martin does not have it. The other 2 do. Craig will get there, and looks like that's a pit lane retirement. Oh, man, and I looked away, and Craig has gone deep. I'm so sorry I missed that. Craig somehow ends up almost in the wall, if not in the wall, and we are down to 2 Martin and Joe Bidome fighting for this P3 spot. So in a matter of laps, we have seen Free Guy, Marchena, and Craig all exit this battle for P3 one way or another. And, you know, that moves Villeneuve into P5. And we have Butler up 8 spots from 14th and P6. And he is looking at a possible P5. He's within DRS range. Still, this race is not over for the V-Carbs of Craig and Marchena, as I missed Joe Bidome DRS overtake on Martin. And another fastest lap from our leader. We'll give him a little bit of screen time out front, but he is pulled away from everyone. Just continuing to set purple. Now nearly 6 seconds ahead of Mr. Bean, who has won back-to-back races going into the break. And sorry, going to look at something here. 3 races overall this season. But Aston Martin making his debut, pulling away here. Mr. Bean 9 seconds ahead of this duo. Butler making the move on Villeneuve further behind. And still, I would say a podium position not completely out of the cards for this duo of Butler and Villeneuve. Who knows what could happen. Craig and Marchena, who has no name on my screen for some reason. 7th and 8th after some issues. Tar Heels is 9th. Hanging tough. Bats had an earlier incident, still hanging around in 10th. Monte Storm 11th. And then 4 DNFs so far. Free Guy and Noob getting some damage and then retiring. Mr. Seedy an incident and Rusty retiring as well. They're somewhat cooled off except for this constant battle for P3 it seems we're having. The multiple DRS zones making it just a constant thing. And Villeneuve and Butler going at it for P5 just behind them. And look at that, Craig right on the back of them as well. Oh, but it had to happen eventually. Joe ducking into the pit lane. I mean, at that point, you're just hoping for a safety car, right? And he hasn't gotten it. But he still has to change the tires, and it's going to cost him a ton of time and a ton of spots. Imagine he'll throw on the softs with just 4 to go. So now, there is no battle for P3. Not as we stand. Martin has emerged victorious from that 4 or 5 car group we started with. But a new battle emerges for P4. Villeneuve holding off the Williams of Butler and the V-Carb of Craig. So we'll tune into this battle for a bit. That was Joe coming 4 seconds behind Tar Heels, it appears. And is he on the medium tires, actually? No, he is on the softs. Okay. Trick of the light, or I'm just blind. So Joe trying to make up some time. Maybe he can get back to Craig, but he certainly won't be able to get back to P3. Craig gets by Butler for P5. As Villeneuve picks up, I believe that's our first track limits penalty of this event. Had a couple of pit lane violations, I believe, but our first track limits. So now Villeneuve fighting driving a race for P7 as well. He's going to try to stay ahead of Marchena. But right now he's just trying to stay ahead of Butler. Both of them have DRS, but neither can make a move as Villeneuve leads this train still. Seems like a lot of drivers getting a little squirrely out of this section throughout the sphere section, and then this this high-speed corner right afterwards. Especially as these tires start to wear a little bit. The hards are, what, 13, 12 laps old now? Not too bad, but you can start to feel the effects a little bit. Butler looks like he may be able to make a move on Craig here. He's tucked in. Flaps open, but flaps are open for both of them. Villeneuve still leading this train. It's like a Joe. Big tire difference there, and with DRS, makes it around Tar Heels. He still has nearly 6 seconds to go. I'm not sure he's going to be able to make it back to Marchena now. He will put in the fastest lap, though, and he will get a point for that if he is able to hold on to it. I'm sure he will, unless somebody else boxes for... Well, it might be too late for that now. Maybe Monte. Monte wanted to try for fastest lap. Why not? Been watching all of these battles, but once again want to point out just the dominance today by Oscar Piastri GOAT. Really, really fast in the sprint, but came out in P3. But he has run away with this feature race. Absolutely. Nearly 9 seconds to Mr. Bean, who's been one of the, if not the fastest drivers on pace this season. And then a massive gap to the rest of the field. Martin P3, 13.5 seconds behind him. So he will start the final lap, the Aston Martin driver, making his league debut, I believe. Just recently joined the league and showing off a ton of pace early and putting the league on watch. Gord, if you're still watching this, man, it might not be this season he's fighting you for championships, but you better watch out. Certainly got some pace here. Let's see, Villeneuve hoping to stay P4 on track. He still has a 3-second time penalty. Be nice to finish ahead of Craig on track still. And he's still battling, I guess, trying to do the math here, be Marchena. Hoping to stay ahead of him for P6, I believe. As our leader heads onto the back straight for the final time. He's put in purple after purple after purple, only topped by someone on much better tires. So he's doing a little victory squirrel as well, weaving. Mr. Bean follows him from a distance, of course. Let's see, Martin. Villeneuve will have DRS. He's still trying to extend some time. Well, will he have DRS? I'm not sure he will, actually. He will not. As Oscar Piastri GOAT comes across the line to secure a victory in his very first PRL race. Further on back, Marchena gets by Butler. See, as we head towards the line, Martin holds off Villeneuve for P3 on track. It will be P3 for the Haas driver, and a war of attrition for that battle. Craig, Marchena. Oh yes, so Villeneuve does hold off Marchena. Must have been reading the timing sheet wrong. He will get P5, Villeneuve. Marchena 6th. Butler 7th. Joe Bidome, after a tough strategy, finishes 8th. Tar Heels 9th. Bats hanging in there, finishing the race with a nice P10. And Monte Storm, our other newcomer, brings his Alpine through the dogleg and across the line for P11 in his first race. What an event. Crazy sprint race. Awesome battle for P3 in the feature race. And another just awesome event here at the Performance Racing League. Will Butler is your driver of the day per the game. I think I would agree with that. What he ended up P6? P7? I might give it to Martin, though, just out of the attrition. A 5-car battle for P3 that he comes out on top of and ends up on the podium for it. So that'll be my pick, actually. I think I'm going to go with Martin. Another awesome event from PRL. If you're tuning in for the first time, want to be a part of this league, we have the link is in our Twitch profile, I believe, for our Discord. So check out our Discord. We'd love to have you. And once again, the final results. Oscar Piastri GOAT in his debut gets P1, dominating over Mr. BNR pole sitter. Martin P3. Craig, another one, P4, another strong performance from him. Villeneuve up 5 spots to P5. Marchena P6. Butler 7th. Joe Bidome falls to 8th. Tar Heels 9th. Bats. Monte Storm is 11th. In his debut, Free Guy, Noob, Mr. Seedy, and Rusty all DNFing, unfortunately. But you've tuned into yet another excellent race from PRL Performance Racing League. I've been Hoop BK, your host, and hopefully we will see you next week for our race in... Where are we next week? We're at Bahrain next week. Any themes or anything for next week? Nope. So tune in January 12th for a round 10 of this 14-round season, which will be at Bahrain. Once again, I'm Hoop BK, and thanks for tuning in.